Coming to you live from a 2-bedroom Airbnb in somewhere in Southern Illinois. It is the Fightful NXT No Mercy podcast show review, starring me and also Kate.
It is the day after Alex's birthday, they have chosen to hurt Alex's feelings for his birthday. They said, we're taking the title away from Oba Femi, but it is your NXT Sour Grapes No Mercy post-show. So get in your super chats, get in your Humper chats at humperchats.com. Been a very busy week at Fightful Select for a lot of things, including like Indianapolis just telling Sean, like, we don't know when the hell we're going to be getting WrestleMania, along with a few other things, some updates on how John Cena and AJ Styles came together, Cedric Alexander officially being signed with TNA. So some really, a very loaded week and some interesting stuff to get additional context on. Get it accurately, get it the right way, and get it now and not 11 months after the fact like some aggregators are doing with the HBO story. So we have it accurate and we have it in a timely fashion, but we're going to do a quick collision recap at the end of this. This isn't like a full-on hybrid review. We're just going to give you some of the key updates because No Mercy actually came out swinging for especially from what we've seen for the NXT brand. And we're going to get into all of that and more, but it sounded like there were a lot of things that were happening on Collision that are worth talking about too, but we're going to lead with the hot thing here because, Alex, I'll throw it back to you on this. I'm looking at this card, and I thought it was a really good card. Like, the match quality is rarely the issue, and outside of the goofy TNA stuff that we're going to talk about, there was a lot on here that I liked. But one thing I noticed when I was looking at this card was, like, everything that's delivering, for the most part, with a couple of exceptions and one really, really, really big exception, are all wrestlers that have had pro wrestling backgrounds and not NIL kids. And that's not to say NIL kids can't do it. And that's not to say the ones that have been exceptions haven't been some of the greatest exceptions that they've had. But what it does show me is that a couple of things. One, you really got to love this to really get it. Like, you really have to love wrestling and not just move execution to really, really get it. And two, like, it's not like the NIL program has no hits.
No.
But it definitely has a lot more misses. And when they bring in people with pro wrestling backgrounds, Javon Evans, Ethan Page, Ricky Saints, I look at all the women that got called up from NXT in 5 minutes because they're all so damn good, right? Like, it really shows through in the product, and that's not a swipe at the NIL kids. They've never done it before. It's a crazy thing to ask of people, right. But it's something that's become increasingly evident as we filled in NXT with more pro wrestlers, and like Jada Parker's a great example of someone that I think is an exception to that rule. It's just, it takes a while. But I was noticing that on this card tonight of like everything that I saw that was like, you know what? I thought Briggs was a really great base for Javon tonight. Tons of wrestling experience behind that guy. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So that was just like a subplot to this pay-per-view. I felt like that I had running in the back of my head while all of this was going on. I kind of found that interesting tonight.
It's odd that you bring it up tonight because I thought the NIL people showed out tonight. Like, Sol Ruca's an NIL. We don't think of her as one because she's been around for a while, but she came from gymnastics. And Jada Parker, I thought, did a very good job until they screwed up the ending. I mean, it's 5 minutes long, but she did a good job. Also, soccer player. Oba Femi is the greatest NIL signing they'll ever have. Shot putter. You know what I mean? Like I think Tavion Heights is really blossoming into something that could be very good.
But he had an amateur wrestling background, though.
Amateur wrestling, sure, but there's a lot of people who are amateur wrestlers who suck at pro wrestling. You know what I mean? So
that's fair.
Still a collegiate athlete that they signed who did not have pro wrestling experience before he got to the PC.
I guess
I don't want to contradict you. I just was actually going to point out the exact opposite of what you said during the review, and I thought that was interesting.
I appreciate that, and I think Jada is one of those exceptions. Soul is someone that I'm very. I think I keep going back to this thing of like I'm supposed to feel like these people are fighting, and Soul is great, and there's a lot of in-ring storytelling going on with her, but I don't know if I'm feeling like she's fighting anyone yet, and that's another thing that just takes time, right? So, but it was just something that I guess watching the main event, I'm like watching Ricky Saints and I'm watching Oba Femi, and I'm like, Oba Femi feels like the exception of like, I think a good litmus test is, could you go to any company and be able to do this? And I feel like Oba Femi could, and I don't know if I don't know if Sol Ruca could yet. Like,
no, not yet.
You know what I mean?
But
I feel like Ricky Saints and Ethan Page and those guys stepped in, and here we are. So I'm so, I don't know what it is, but I'm so thirsty for wrestling to feel like fighting. And I think it's because we're getting a lot of static of it not feeling that way in general across a lot of TV. But I'll tell you what, Blake Monroe and Jordynne Grace don't have that problem. We're going to talk about all of that. But yeah, I'll throw it to you to get into this. We can start with the main event because I know that's probably a very loaded feeling for you, or we can crescendo that, whatever you want to do.
I guess we should start with it. You know, in true NXT WWE fashion, they screwed it up. I mean, we have one shot to take the title off of Oba Femi. He screwed it up. I mean, I don't think that, like, this might be a good way to do it, but it's not a great way to do it, and it's definitely not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is something we've been talking about for months, where Javon Evans keeps getting closer and closer until he's actually the guy to do it. That's the perfect way to do it. And because Javon Evans stays healthy somehow and is still doing it, and it's within your grasp very easily to have Javon Evans beat Oba Femi in the main event of your biggest show of the year, Stand and Deliver in Vegas again next year. That's within your grasp. You can do it that way. And they decided to not do it. They decided to do it by doing the safest route possible, by having Ricky Saint Starks, a great professional wrestler who's been around the block and knows what he's doing, hit him with 4 consecutive tornado DDTs, and pin a guy who's never been pinned by anything like that before, because that's the safe thing to do. And Ricky Saints will cut great promos on TNA. It will not going to the show, but when TNA comes to try and take his title, he'll cut great promos defending the thing. And listen, it may be, and I will say it better be, that Oba Femi's getting called up, and so they had to take the title off of him as soon as possible. But I will say, if that's not the case, and he's just lost the title to hang up there, when he lost the North American title, he did it so that he could pretty much immediately catapult himself to the world title. There's nothing else for him to catapult himself to other than the main roster. I will say this, if he doesn't go to the main roster and, let's say, retire John Cena in December, if that's the plan, fine, but I don't think it's the plan, because you basically did that match when Brock did it to John Cena. So why would you do that here? That doesn't make any sense. Wait a minute, they don't make sense. But I'm saying, if it's just, let's take the title off of him, and this is the way we thought to do it, then it's very suitable that I'm wearing this shirt, because I'm mad enough to eat the solar system. That is how mad I am. If you just decided, let's pick a 5.5 out of 10 way to beat the greatest champion we'll have in the 2020s. That seems like a dumb thing to do. Like a really dumb thing to do when you have all of these other options at your fingertips. It's just dumb. And I like Ricky Saint Starks. But if you're going to do it with Ricky Saint Starks, you have to have a build. And him just walking out hey, I thwarted stiff big man Jasper Troy. I thwarted the ghost of Jacob Marley, Jasper Troy, who lost his rattling chains, and I beat him. Good for me. Now I get a title shot, and he gets one because he's got a promo from New Orleans. Like, you had everything right there for you with Javon Evans being the guy who keeps coming back, a guy that Oba can't really solve. I would even go as far as say as if Oba lost the title to Ricky St. Starks in their second match, at least you would have actually had a way to build to it. Like where Ricky almost gets him and those DDTs flatten him, but he's able to somehow get a foot on the rope, and then he hits him with 2 fall from graces and pins him. But the next time, Oba gets pinned from those DDTs in the middle of the ring, and you actually watch him try to put his foot out, and he's nowhere near those ropes, and he gets pinned. There could be a really cool story and a really cool build from one match to the next. This is a superficially fine way to dethrone the greatest champion that NXT will have in the 2020s. I don't know why you wouldn't try to make it better than that, but it's because they're very lazy and they don't like doing work to try and make things good. We've been consistently saying that. They may have like little blips where, hey, they actually tried. Good for them. I hope this is a trend. And guess what? It never is a trend. They dip right back into the not trying really hard.
I had a more optimistic view of surprise. Than you on this, because it's very hard for me not to get excited about a Ricky Saints championship. And the good of it is I think this men's division still needs help. And I think Ricky can be like, having Ricky and Ethan as champions at the same time, I think is just a healthy call for the men's singles roster. And I'm wondering if Oba dethroned Sami Zayn, if his first match is that open challenge and he just dethroned Sami Zayn. The chat is saying maybe he'll retire Brock, which I wouldn't hate that either. Maybe both. But there were a lot of things I really liked about the match. I loved the countering the fall from grace with the DDT on the table. That I thought was nuts. The chop on the apron from Oba Femi to Saints, that was so loud. My dog sat up. My dog was asleep, and that was so loud. My dog was like, did a firework just go off? Holy crap. There was a lot I liked about this match. I felt like Ricky was winning when I saw his face in the beginning of this, which is like so good and bad to me, because I love that from before the bell even rang, I saw the champion version of Ricky Saints in this. We cannot say enough about Oba Femi. I love there's so many things that he does right that we've talked about, his selling instincts and just the way that he kind of knows who he is as a wrestler in the ring for being so young at the wrestling aspect of this. I feel like this title reign, I've seen him grown so much from a situational standpoint, where he just like, it's never like he had these gaps in ring psychology that we saw or anything, but like I've seen him now. That's like a strength of his. Like, I know how to work a triple threat with guys that are both half my size. I know how to work a one-on-one with someone who's a high flyer and still make them look believable. I know how to work with someone who is my size. Like, we've seen him pass all these tests with flying colors, and I get wanting to end it here because I don't know what more there is to do. I agree with you that making a star in the process, which Javon already is, but like, you know what I mean? Like, with a title, like the handoff aspect of it could have been really great. I do feel like Ricky can start to help some of these younger guys. I don't know what we do from the aspect of this TNA invasion angle. I feel like this invasion angle is so bad already. It's so dead in the water. And I don't know.
It's an entirely separate issue, but yes, you are right.
But like, not if it leads to not if it leads to Mike Santana getting a title shot against Ricky Saints, then it's not. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I get nervous is what TNA contender. I don't want to see Joe Hendry versus Ricky Saints. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so I don't know.
Do you want to see Joe Hendry try and join Dark State? Because that's what they're teasing tonight. Like with the encroachment of TNA and their terrible creative over the years, like somehow it's only gotten worse in NXT. Like, but like to me, and when I say it's a separate issue, the thing I'm going to be focusing on, because I don't think there's an argument that it's not the most important thing, is the way that you decide the Oba era is over. And Ricky is a fine guy to put the title on, because in a few weeks he'll have settled into being the new guy, and hopefully Oba will be the new US champion fighting Jacob Fatu on SmackDown. Like that's fine. Like, it's like that's a great, good, do that. But to me, it's Ricky was the North American champion for what feels like 7 minutes.
Yes.
And didn't, like, he lost it, I thought, in a good match with Ethan Page, but the rematch was mired by the ridiculous Jasper Troy stuff in the back. And then he lost to Jasper Troy due to a count out. He beat him back. He did have that match against Briggs, but we knew Briggs wasn't beating Starks. The problem I have with a lot of this match was they edited together the video package that went before it in a way that really focused on like Oba talking down to Ricky and Ricky talking himself up to Oba, in a way that was like, oh, well, you are focusing. That wasn't part of it. It looks like Kate's electricity went out, so she's kind of come back. It flickered on, off and on, and so she'll be back soon, I guess. So Vic Joseph throughout the entire match was really telegraphing the finish of, well, we've seen how Oba's gotten overconfident and doesn't respect Ricky Saints, where I didn't get that impression during the build at all. They made sure that was the story of the match going forward. And they, during the match, it was all about talking up Oba. Nobody can beat him. Here is this unbeatable monster. And when the babyface commentator, because they make no mistake. Like, and you can't make any mistake when you see the way Vic Joseph commentates all of the matches tonight on No Mercy. Vic Joseph is actively rooting for the babyface in all of the matches. When he starts to say, nobody's going to beat Oba. Oh, well, you talk about a body count. Here's one more added to the list. There's the pin, and 1, 2, and no. What? Really? I can't believe it. They kind of ruined any suspense that it wasn't going to be Ricky winning it very early on. So, yeah, yes, that picture that was up was Kate's mugshot. Very much so. That was very funny. So let's see here. Let's see here. I saw a chat from the beginning. Tim Wininger says, with Oba losing, do you think he's getting called up to the main roster? He'll be great on either Raw or SmackDown. I think that he should. She shouldn't spend a day on the NXT roster not as a champion. Like, he lost the title, then that should be the reason he lost the title should be to go to the main roster. I don't think there's a reason for him to do that. But Big Jim Dukers, telling it like it is, I suppose. If I had any faith left in the Fed, I'd look forward to Oba's debut at the Rumble, where he eliminates 12 guys, then chases a mid-card title. But I have no faith, so I hope he stays in NXT for a redemption arc. Kalex for life. Thank you, Jim Dukers. I hope I don't want him in NXT anymore. He doesn't need to be there if he's not the champion. But the way to unnecessarily fantasy book Oba Femi and main roster run, I think there's two things. One was the first one that I mentioned, which is that he answers a Sami Zayn Open Challenge and squashes Sami Zayn, debuting on SmackDown as a monster heel. But to show that he's a lone wolf, Solo tries to recruit him, and that does not go well for Solo. And also the main feud for that run would be Jacob Fatu coming after his U.S. title, but now it's held by Oba Femi, and they can have like absolute like bar brawls where they just destroy each other. And I wouldn't mind like that actually being a hot potato type thing. But that's one option. The best option, of course, is that he debuts in the Royal Rumble. Like, I'm talking, we don't see him from today until the Royal Rumble, even though it's in Saudi, blah, blah, blah. And during that Royal Rumble, he eliminates a dozen guys, but the most important one is Brock Lesnar. And at WrestleMania, he faces Brock Lesnar, and he destroys Brock Lesnar. That's never going to happen. Brock would never allow it to happen. I don't think Triple H would book it. But creating a brand new beast, only 26 years old, who, whenever he decides to, will destroy whoever he's in the ring with, you need to have a new guy who's not 50 years old who does that. They don't realize this. They're bad at it. But you need to have a guy who's not 50 who can do the stuff that you book Brock Lesnar to do. So having that guy destroy Brock Lesnar to become the new one of those is storytelling so simple that anyone should be able to see how good that is. And yet they won't do it for whatever reason. I won't assign reasons to them that are probably there, but we can't prove it. So I just don't think that he needs to have any more time in NXT. He's proven that he's ready. And I don't know what you do with him hanging out in NXT, not the champion. They'll probably have him get a return match, a rematch with Ricky, but I don't want to see him lose again. Like, we already did that with Tony D. Listen, I like Ricky Saints a lot, but I loved Tony D, and I was still upset when they took out Oba's North American title reign. This is going to be very hard for me.
It is going to be very hard for you. I do agree that the story could have been a lot stronger because it didn't feel. I felt like Ricky did a really good job explaining why the title was personal to him. If they had done a trilogy of this, I'd have zero complaints probably. Like I would just be. If it got personal between the two of them, I think that would be fun. I don't think this necessarily that would be my favorite way. I don't know if I dethroned I climbed the mountain actually requires that for the story, because it is that, like, it's two character arcs coalescing more. But I would have preferred that.
Right.
Oba, I think I like your idea with Royal Rumble. It should be like a Final Four situation, in my opinion, for Oba. I would love for him to squash Sammy. I would love, like, if we get to Oba Femi and Jacob Fatu, I will not be complaining about this.
Right. I mean, I will always complain about a bad title reign ending, like because especially if you've made it into an important one where that was the other thing about it. And I talked about this while you were dealing with electricity problems. Vic Joseph telegraphing the ending of this throughout the entire thing of like, wow, I just don't know if there's anybody, much less Ricky Saints, who has a prayer of beating Oba Femi. Like, if you're doing that in minute 3, I'm pretty sure Ricky Saints is beating him. And if at the end, when he does the big smack on the chest as he's up on the apron, and then he rolls him into the ring, and Oba gets in the ring, it's like, you talk about a body count, where here's one more to add to the tally, and here it goes, and 1, 2, what? Like, it becomes so obvious.
Cartoonish, like, too.
Yes, it does. It feels like my daughter is 2 again, watching Coco Melon on YouTube. Like, it's not. We are.
Alex Pulaski shoots on Coco Melon.
Listen, it's great for 2-year-olds. By the time she was 4, she was like, "This is kind of obvious, Dad," and we moved on. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, Sarah. I will say too, like, some of this is my Ricky Saints bias. Like, this kind of reminds me of when Sammy won against Gunther. And I you were more upset about it than I was, because it was Chad Gable's story to win, and Sami Zayn won. But I just love Sami Zayn so much, I can't bring myself to not be excited about such a thing. That's kind of where I'm at with Ricky Saints. And I do feel like
you're wrong now. It's fine. You can be wrong multiple times. It's
plan on it, babe, because I am going to.
It's nice that you are aware of your own biases. I'm not, but it's nice that you are. So
aware. I do.
Taylor Cannon saying hello to my favorite people. Happy birthday again, Alex. Hope it was a great day. Was shocked Oba lost. Is he getting called up? Kate, what do you think? Is he getting called up?
I feel like yes. I don't know if that means imminently. But he's someone they've been very intentional with in a program that is largely careless. Yes. So I think his title loss means he's on his way up. I don't think I saw anything about him doing like a post whatever promo, but I don't think that character does a post whatever promo. So my fear is that he wins the TNA title and has an actual TNA reign, which would make me so sad. Like, I genuinely, in my head, in my heart, I fear that they're like, we don't have plans for him yet on the main roster, but he needs to stay a champ. That makes me, like, genuinely extremely nervous.
Yeah. And it's all like, obviously, and Hunter would call up. Oh God. I mean, now I can't even do the joke because I don't know his name. We call up the actual guy and say, "Hey, Santino. I don't have any plans for Oba, so you can have him for, like, I don't know, 4 months." And like, you should be talking to Carlos Silva. I don't know who that is. Santino, you take it. I feel like that's probably the way Hunter deals with things. John Wick says, "I only accept this if Oba retires Cena." Listen, I had been saying prior to the Lesnar match with John Cena that Cena should lose his last match and lose it pretty definitively against a younger talent. The guy that I had picked out for it was Braun Breaker, because I think they have a lot of plans for him going forward, and him being the dude who retired Cena would be a big part of it. The problem with it is usually the honor of retiring a guy only comes if, like, hey, I'm going to keep wrestling until I lose a match. Not if my last contractual date is this date and then I have to go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really work that way. So, yeah, Oba retiring Cena would be great. It just feels like they already did that match. The match you would do, like if I don't know, if 2 out of the last 4 matches that John Cena wrestles are him getting absolutely bodied by a much bigger dude, like I don't know what that exactly proves, unless the thing is like, hey, I beat John Cena to death faster than you did, Brock, so I'm calling you out. Is the through line that gets us to Oba versus Brock? But I don't honestly think they're doing that at all.
I actually really like that story. I don't think it happens with John Cena, but I actually really like that idea. Like if there's somebody else that they could do that with, that would be good. But that person is inevitably going to look like a massive chump. I would love for that too, but they absolutely hate making new stars on the roster. They're allergic to it. They've been vaccinated for making new stars. Like they are so resistant to making new stars. On the men's side, they do a much better job of it on the women's side.
Sorry, I just had a whole panic attack not saying the joke I wanted to say. So I'm not going to say it, but I had a stroke. Like my brain went through 7 versions of that joke in a second, and then I was like, can't say any of them, and so
cannot say any of them.
No, so
it's like
the Cyclo says no more Oba in NXT. You say? The HBK, here's a TNA run. No, stop putting things into the universe. Him and you. Just stop it.
You know what? I don't think that's cute. And I know it's not sexy. So HBK better not do that. It does not drive the girls wild, I tell you. It's not the moves that really moves them.
Saying that Oba in the Royal Rumble with a trashy theme to lose to Omos. What are you doing, man? No, listen. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Oba Femi.
The Oba Femi theme song is the greatest thing that Def Rebel ever did.
It is. It was before they went deaf. They were just rebels.
They were partially deaf rebel. They were
what? Rebel.
Auditorially challenged rebel. They needed a hearing aid rebel. But that song's too good. You're not allowed to get rid of that. You know what I mean? Like that's the other thing. It's like, you know how much I hate
his presentation too.
Yeah, how much I hate them yeeting. Multiply that by 1 million, and then how much I'm going to love them going, ooh,
Oba, Oba. Ah, it's the best.
Yeah. I'm going to miss it.
We're actually assuming that this is Oba's last match. I think it's appropriate that we have like a face-to-face right here with not you and me, but with Shawn Michaels and with Triple H. We need to speak directly. I don't know who in HR I have to talk to. Ava just isn't here for a really important thing, so I can't talk to her. But it's so imperative to me that Oba Femi does not get effed up on the main roster like so many have before. This guy is way too talented and way too good at this, and I would just be so sad. Like it's hard enough with Carmelo. With Oba, just because of literally his stature and everything. Like Carmelo is someone I feel like they could heat up if they tried. The character that Oba is should be so protected for the like Gunther levels of protected for his career. And I just really hope that they put intentionality behind his call up. Because Mello, I feel like you could flip a switch on a dime, but like Oba should be built into a dominant force backed by wins, which we're going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah. Yes. So yeah, this has been a thing I've seen. It's very confusing what Ava said, which make people think that they were going to do Oba versus Trick, title for title. This time there must be a winner, but she just clumsily used their names describing what happened this past week in the obvious run-in angle to apply to a different match that was really poorly thought out and they shouldn't have booked. Let's talk about the NXT, the TNA and NXT invasion thing that they
NXT and AOLO.
NXT and AOLO. So last night at Victory Road, whatever it was,
it was the road to victory.
Ash by Elegance had to step away from wrestling, I suppose. This is what they said. It was supposed to be her versus Masha. Then there was a report that Masha wasn't going to be in anymore because of the stuff that happened with her, which I won't get into on this show. And then there wasn't a match, and Ash came out and said, I have to vacate the title. And so they did a battle royal, and the final two in the battle royal would face each other later, and the winner of that would be the new TNA champion. And the final two were the former, I don't remember what Mei Ying Lee, I think is what she is now, or something like that. She used to be Xia Li. That's what it was. She used to be Xia Li, and I don't remember what she's called. Forgive me, I don't know what she's called now, but she used to be Xia Li. Her, who used to be a Lei Ying Lee, the future former Xia Li,
yes,
who used to be an NXT wrestler and had an NXT women's title match before she was released, and also Kalani Jordynne, and so it's basically two former NXT people, to one current one and one former one, fighting for the TNA title, and Kalani Jordynne won. So people are thinking she's probably just going to hold it until she loses to Indy Hartwell at Bound for Glory. But that was part of this angle too. Now we have a new Kalani Jordynne, your new TNA champion. But there was a thing that was talked about. We're going to be a big announcement, major announcement by Ava about this whole invasion and what we're going to do about it. And she says that she met with Santino Marella for many hours, and what they came up with after they hashed it out was on October 7th, coincidentally the same night that AEW was pushed from Wednesdays to Tuesdays, just complete coinkydink. We are going to have NXT Invasion, where two traditional Survivor Series style matches, one for the men and one for the women, with teams that will be selected on this coming episode of NXT, will be fighting. And also on that night, it will be a tag team title match. It'll be Dark State versus the Hardys. And it'll be both titles on the line, and there must be a winner. This is where she said, in light of the happenings during Oba versus Trick this past Tuesday, now everyone will be banned from ringside and there must be a winner. But she said all of that long after she mentioned the Hardys and Dark State by name, so people only heard Oba and Trick and thought she was like, aren't you telegraphing the end of the main event tonight by saying this? And she wasn't. She just has poor sentence structure. So the Hardys are going to be your new NXT champions, and that is fun. That's great.
I can't stress enough how bad this all has been. And I hate it because I love interpromotional relationships. But Alex, it's not just us saying it. It's not just Fightful saying it. Wrestling Observer is saying it too. They were also talking about, Bryan Alvarez was very heated, actually talking about the incompetence that Ava is portrayed with, not the performer, because that's what everybody in the comments always likes to think we're saying, and Bryan Alvarez too, evidently. But what we're saying is, she is a horrendous GM as far as who they've told us she is in character, and stuff like this is part of it. So my problems with this TNA angle date back to when everybody in TNA wrote a strongly worded email saying that they weren't going to take this crap anymore. And then a week later, they all showed up, hung out, and because everybody in NXT is apparently very dumb, they were all stunned that they showed up and went ballistic in the main event of this episode, which makes you an idiot if you work at NXT. On top of everything I just said, the talent that they have chosen to go with are all talent that have I'm sorry. Like, I know this isn't supposed to be on screen, so this maybe isn't fair to them. But like, Matt Cardona's not contracted to work there, and it feels like he's the one spearheading all of this. Like, anybody who was there, if they got offered WWE money, would jump ship. Half of the people that are working for TNA aren't even contracted there, if not more. Right. So it's really hard to buy into like this brand versus brand thing. When like it seemed like at Victory Road, Joe Hendry had his send off. Maybe he's gonna get drafted by Team NXT, and that'll be how we now just move him over to being a WWE employee.
That would be the best.
They should.
That would be the best, the dumbest way to do it. Awesome.
But they also like it was funny because on my list of least favorite things that I have to do in this world, sometimes giving Joel Pro credit is right up there near the top. And he responded to a post that was something along the lines of like, what does it feel like to be a TNA fan right now after Kalani won? And he was like, there's a very specific chair in a hotel room.
I mean,
yeah. I almost fell down, but that's what it seems like, because there were also reports that TNA has unscheduled dates that are going to be in Florida, or like it's not announced what venue they're going to be at. So hopefully their weekly TV is getting a bump from this too, because I'm like, both your titles are on NXT. All the Invasion stuff is happening on NXT. What bones are left for the actual TNA television to be picked here? So I'm glad it seems like it might kick back the other way, but I'm like, man, and Joel said today too, like, I'm actually rooting for Dark State to win those titles, because I think what he doesn't want is Bound for Glory to be the Hardys versus the Dudleys for all the gold, which is like it's so unnecessary to have the tag titles wrapped up in that. It really, really is. And
Guess that why they're absolutely going to do it that way. Like, so we can have people who were in the peak of their career 25 years ago wrestle each other for a developmental title, and the developmental title's developmental brand's title.
You know what? They found the right partner in WWE then, because that whole thing is people that were in their prime 20 years ago.
Yep.
But I just I don't understand. My barriers are, other than the extremely flawed execution of like, everybody should have seen this coming in every facet. Like, I don't know if half the people working for TNA would buy one of these I'm with TNA shirts if they got offered contracts by WWE. So there's all these like kayfabe barriers, which might be specific to podcasters who watch this too closely, but they're there. And on top of that, like, I just think TNA looks weak as hell with all of this. And it's hard for me to buy back that they're like, you know what, if I tweet about it hard enough. Like, I loved AJ Francis was the only one who was like, they're not going to show up and do anything because they're a bunch of PUSSIES. Like, I actually appreciated that from AJ, because I think that's
honestly
great.
I appreciate anytime.
It's just been so unproductive to me.
Anytime a heel who any other day would hate the management of their company, like don't like the GM, don't like him, I deserved title shots, all this kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden, like, hold on, our company is feuding with another company? Well, then Team TNA all the way. That's bullcrap. So I like that AJ Francis is at least figuring that out.
And he has Tricks back in storyline, right? Yeah. So like, I like that aspect of it too. Like, I appreciated that he brought something different to the table, other than I'm not going to take this crap and starting next week where I've given you 7 days notice. Like,
right.
I don't know.
All right, so Ricky Saints won with 4 tornado DDTs, 1 on the table outside, 1 on the outside on the floor, and then 2 on the inside of the ring.
A cool counter to the fall from grace, honestly. Like, that is a cool counter to that.
Yeah, fine. So let's talk about the guy who should have been the one to dethrone Oba, albeit 6 months from now. Javon Evans, who beat Josh Briggs and looked every bit in this match like the guy who should be built to beat Oba Femi. Like, he had a match against a giant guy and did a bunch of stuff to the giant guy that, I'm sorry, looked like it would do a lot more damage to a giant guy than Ricky Saints did to Oba Femi. Like, Ricky is a consummate pro. Javon is a freak of nature.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need Spider-Man to beat Kingpin. You do. You like Hawkeye's not beating Kingpin up. You know, you need Spider-Man to do that. You know, that's the thing is yes, there are levels of superheroes. I'm sorry, there just are. And Spider-Man is the guy who ends up being able to do amazing acrobatic things, get crazy velocity with the stuff that he does to actually do damage to, like, the spear that Ricky went to Oba that he swatted out of the way was the same spear that he did to Oba a few seconds later that almost got the pinfall. It's the same spear. It's just at one point Oba got out of the way of it, and the other one he didn't. It didn't feel like, okay, well, now I got to do a super spear to you much faster, because this time it just was a spear. And
Alex, I got to tell you, the only thing I know less about than The Simpsons is the DC and Marvel universes.
It's fine. Just know that I'm correct, and we can move on.
Of course. No, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I think that Javon is otherworldly. I did not get a chance to watch his match with Sammy last night. I heard it was fantastic. He's tremendous, and is another guy that I am waiting for them to call him up and ruin him. Pretty much like Oba. The only thing about Oba that I think might protect him from that is the fact that he's the size of Oba. And they seem to like guys like that who can do other things. Now, Omos is giant, but can't do much else other than be giant. Oba can do a lot of other things. So hopefully they'll just realize there's money in the giant guy and use him as such. But Javon, we'll see. They need to be as high on him as anything, because that's how good he is.
This match was fantastic, and credit to Briggs for a lot of this, because he based really well.
Improved quite a lot.
Yeah, he really has. And there were a lot of good near falls in this that I liked. I have more hope for Oba on the main roster because, as we've established, they tend to be very lazy, and they could just put him in the Gunther track and they'd be fine, right? Javon is like, I don't want to say he's like nothing I've ever seen before, but he's not much off of that. Like, right. He is in such a level. The problem is the closest thing I can compare him to on the main roster is probably like a Montez Ford. And what have they done with Montez Ford for me lately? Right. So that's the part that worries me, along with the fact that, like, Carmelo Hayes doesn't feel important. Grace Muller doesn't feel important. All these things. Right. So I really hope that the main roster sees it. I don't know. You didn't see the match, but that match with Sammy yesterday, WWE crowds, it breaks my heart, but main roster WWE crowds don't always react to wrestling. There's a lot of times those crowds now sit around and just wait for the interference, no matter what's going on in the ring. That crowd was obsessed with Javon Evans. They loved him, and half of them there didn't know who he was at the beginning of the match. And by the end of it, they were eating out of the palm of his hand. And Sammy was so great with him too. But like,
main roster live crowds are 40% children. Like, you put Javon Evans
he's
in
going
front
to be
of
a lot
child.
of kids' favorite. Yeah.
You put a Javon Evans in front of a child, they're going to think they're watching Spider-Man. You know what I mean? They're going to think they're watching something. You know,
we'd have said the same with Ricochet, and look what they did there.
Well,
but #new era. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But this match was.
But hold on. I think I figured it out. Javon's got hair. Maybe that's his secret weapon. That's why the kids are going to figure out. He's not bald. He's not bald. #not bald. Hashtag.
That's it.
Javon Evans, very not bald. So maybe that'll work better with the kids. Yeah.
I really did like a lot of this match. It was the right call to open, I felt like, too. I was glad it did. I'm so in love with, like, when you have Javon's athleticism, we've talked about this before too. Like, you could just coast off of that. That's going to make you millions of dollars. Yeah. But his in-ring storytelling, his facial expressions, his match pacing he's 21, 22. His match pacing for a 22-year-old is freakishly good.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Kyle Fletcher too. He's a little older, but I'm like, these younger kids understanding match pacing this early in their careers is like a game changer, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. This is really important. The chat pointing out he is also bouncy. I don't know if you've picked up on that.
It's true. He's bouncy.
This was an interesting thing. I've kind of heard a lot of too, though, this was another thing I heard Alvarez say, like, if I see another report about how high they are on Javon Evans after the match with Sami Zayn, he was like, I'm going to lose it. And I understand what he's saying, because, like, Javon hasn't held gold. Like, NXT in particular, and part of it is just the vehicle they are and the nature of what they do. Sometimes they get you really invested in people that feel like they ain't doing shit. Like, and it kind of feels that way with Javon. Like, I loved the match we got tonight. I don't know if a feud with Josh Briggs does a ton for him. The rematch was built out of nothing, really. Like, so I do feel like they should elevate the creative that they give them to the potential that they have in those situations. We're going to talk about Jade Parker. She's another one that, like, people love her and she loses all the time. So that is something I feel like we got to get a title on Javon sooner than later.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that they could do right away, but they're not going to, because Ethan Page has to go hang out in Mexico for a bit to fight the grandson of a doctor.
That's a less inspiring thing than Dusty Rhodes gave us.
I mean, listen, that's cool. My grandpa was a doctor. Oh, great. You're a wrestler now, I guess. Anyway, so Ethan's got to go and do that. But, like, you could absolutely rekindle that feud, great feud that they had when Ethan first, like, turned super heel. You could rekindle that feud with Javon Evans, make him the new NXT North American champion.
Good. That feud was unreal.
You could do that at Halloween Havoc, and there would be no problem to it whatsoever. And this is what I think they might do, because I don't know, frankly, what they've got that can heels that can chase a babyface champion. Turning Ricky heel and having Javon chase heel Ricky could be really good for the NXT product as a whole, because I think that Ricky, at least tweener leaning heel, could be really good. I don't know, like, you could easily, I don't know who, don't ask me. I don't want to, like, I don't know exactly who they would have, but you could easily show me Ricky leading a small faction of dudes who could get in the way of people. He'd be great at that as well. So, like, ironic, because they just had matches with each other, but the kind of guy who would greatly benefit by being somebody like Ricky's heavy is Jasper Troy.
Sure.
Jasper Troy would be that's the kind of guy that should be the kind of guy who should have a role as the heel champ's giant dude who just choke slams guys and then has a match, but then the match never goes to a finish because he always gets DQ'd. That's the kind of thing that they always had in the past, and they love doing that now. So you could absolutely make that work. But I do think Javon chasing heel Ricky and beating heel Ricky at Stand and Deliver is a thing you could really, really get done. You just have to, like, hop on it right now and turn Ricky Saints heel soon, so it's not a 6-week build, you know?
But I also agree with you that, like, if you got Ricky even just to tweener, and he could face anybody, like, Javon would be such a different type of face than Ricky would be if we get him off the babyface route and just let Ricky talk his shit. So I'm with you there. I'm with you there.
Ryan Cicchini has a good distinction.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just gonna say, Allie Cease is here, and we have Allie 3 belts in the chat now.
Oh my goodness, Allie has 3 belts.
She's gonna get side-eyed by Mercedes in no time. She's gonna get the emoji.
Mercedes is Allie. I regret to inform you, you're going to get your dream match. It's going to be against Mercedes, but I'm sorry, she's going over, and you've got to put all 3 of your titles on the line because she wants all of them, and she's going to take them off of you. I'm sorry, but that's the way it works, kid. Ryan Cicchini.
She said you can have them.
Ryan Cicchini says has a good distinction here. Evans, they just need to keep showcasing slowly on the main roster. Oba needs to come in like a wrecking ball. I think that is true. I just think that they did a lot of showcasing of Carmelo Hayes slowly when he was in NXT. He had a whole run in the United States title tournament, and he was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and then he left the main roster, went back to NXT for like 4 more months, and then he showed up again, and now he's doing drama with The Miz. You know what I mean? So who knows? We'll see.
Dare I say it is not awesome?
No. No. So we had some interesting stuff with the speed title thing. Like an hour before the show was on, less than that, HBK himself tweeted out like, hey, I just got the news from the medical staff that late last night, Lainey Reid injured herself while training. And she will not be cleared to compete tonight. Tune in to find out who Sol Ruca's opponent will be. It turned out to be Jada Parker. This, to me, seemed like the perfect 5-minute time limit draw, because you're not going to beat either of them in 5 minutes. Except, yes, you are. If Lash Legend comes down to ringside, as she did, and gets involved with Jada Parker. But then Zelta wanted to spear Jada Parker, but ended up spearing Lash Legend, but also didn't look like oops. She looked like, yeah, that's it. I got you. And I'm like, did you mean to spear? Which one do you mean to spear? And then Jada gets in the ring and steps through the ropes directly into a Soul Snatcher, and Soul wins this match. I thought to myself, if you're not going to do the angle where Lainey beats Soul and then Lainey joins the Fatal Influencers, then I don't even know why the match is even on the card. It was fine. All of them are fine. Lainey apparently is in a walking boot. There was a photo that she sent out of her foot looking super swollen. I don't know what kind of training she was doing late at night, the night before the most important match of her career, where she was going to become the speed champion, even though that doesn't matter, but possibly, obviously, be involved in a major angle for the women's title. I mean, stop hopping on one foot on ice or whatever it is you're doing. Like, listen, you know what you should be doing late at night? You should be eating Doritos and playing video games like I do. I've never sprained my foot late at night before anything, because guess what? I'm off my feet on the couch, and I've never missed a big match the next day because my foot got hurt.
What was Eddie Kingston doing to prepare for his comeback? Watching like Masawa matches and eating ice cream, right? That's the way we do this.
Mm-hmm. Randy's saying Lainey's foot looks gross. Lainey's foot looked gross, or somebody's foot looked gross, because I don't know. I mean, there was a thing that happened. We'll talk about it later.
We will talk about it later. T is a saver. Welcome to the chat. You stole your grandmother's credit card. You can super chat by sending in a chat with there's like a little $sign icon, and you pay for the amount of characters you want to send in. You can also go to humperchats.com and you can send in things that way. I just don't like the speed title. Like there's going to be very few of these matches that are for me. They did this. I give them credit to pulling something.
It should be 10 minutes, not 5. And
it should be a cup, and it should have rounds.
Well, I don't know about that, but
I do.
You can easily I know, but you could easily make the Speed Championship into a thing where they go 1,000,000 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like, you could make it into something really fun where it's not like, hey, let's see which one of us looks bad because we lost in 2.5 minutes. You know, you could make it into something like the Stardom Championship where they're like going super crazy all the time. But
I'm not against a time limit belt. I'm against a 5-minute time limit belt that started as a Twitter gimmick.
Right.
I give them credit to putting something together that advanced an angle. Like it kept the heat alive between Lash and Jada, which I thought was something that was dead. And that came into play a little bit later, which I thought was good. So I appreciate that they were able to, they put creative together in a very short time to do something. So I appreciate that. It wasn't just like show up and lose. Jada needs to start getting some big wins under her belts if they're going to actually do something with this woman.
I'm assuming she's getting one over Lash Legend soon.
But like even that's not great because
I know
they got rid of her tag partner and Lash hasn't gotten to do anything. So
no, you're right.
You can't, the greatest women's division in the world, and everybody you tell me is important as a loser. Like you can't do that either. So I hope they get some big wins for this crop of women. So that they don't have to just go to TNA and do stuff. Because I think they should be doing stuff on this show. This was fine for what it was. I'm getting a little stalled on Soul, and it's not her fault. Like, I think she's a tremendous athlete, and she's blossoming into a wrestler. I'm getting a little tired of this angle now, and they need to have the Ruca breakup, which I think might be coming. I think they'll lose to Alexa and Charlotte, and the I have no golds, you have 2 belts thing will come into play. But like the magic of Soul is starting to wear off, not because of her, but because of the creative around her. And I also just think the Speed title is stupid, but that's not fault of either of the wrestlers. They're great. I think they did just fine with this. I just think what they were given to do fine with is a stupid thing.
Right. I mean, it's just stuff that you're like, okay, Jada Parker's in this match, and you go, well, at what point does Lash Legend come to the ringside and get involved?
Right.
You immediately think that because that's how they book everything. We had our Weapons Wild cage match thing, weapons match in a steel cage. However they build.
It was an Ambrose Asylum. Is what
it was. An Ambrose Asylum. It was an Ambrose Asylum match, but nobody in the name was called Ambrose, so you couldn't.
Blake Ambrose.
It was. So this was, I thought, was good, but because they are the company of no gory self-mutilation when it comes to women. There was no blood, even though Jordynne Grace wore all white.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I understand. We don't do that anymore, but like just accidentally, maybe after last night, what happened to Jade, they were like, okay, whatever happens, nobody gets bloody tonight. Blake had a whole bunch of Sabrina Carpenter themed weaponry, cutesy little trash cans and pink kendo sticks. And at one point she got a bag that was full of diamonds. There were, I'm going to go ahead and say 1,000 20-carat diamonds in this bag. So of course they weren't. They were pieces of plastic. But like Vic Joseph being, those are real diamonds, Booker. And every kid watching Coco Melon goes, okay, settle down, Vic Joseph. Like, I know they're not real diamonds. You know what I mean? So
was it real glass is the question.
They weren't. They were not glass. They were pieces of plastic. Like my daughter had a little like jewels set where it was obviously just cut pieces.
Pretty princess style.
Like rubies and emeralds and diamonds. And it was like they bought 1,000 of those little sets of gems and like take out all the diamonds and put those in a bag. Yeah.
They're uncut gems.
Yeah. This was suitably violent without any blood. So it was if you're a person who needs blood for this kind of match to like move you, then I'm pretty sure you weren't moved.
Well, I do when someone wears all white.
That's a point.
If you're gonna invite it, that just feels like promotional malpractice to me. But
yeah,
I'll say this, like I do feel like if you are saying we have this parameter of you can't bleed around this, what that does is put an extra focus and intent on everything else to make it feel violent, which means everything else is 10 times harder of your facial expressions, the way you use the weapons, like the non-weapon contact that you have. Like there has to be a magnifying glass over those things because the shock factor has to come elsewhere than the visual of blood. Which is funny because I've heard multiple deathmatch wrestlers say, it's not the bleeding that hurts. Like, that just looks cool. They were like, the worst spots to take are the ones that don't look cool and hurt like hell and make no sound because you're getting nothing out of it except pain. But they were like, I remember, I think it was Eddie Kingston saying like, you want to hit me with a stick of bamboo or you want me to do a 450 and land on my, like, I'll take the bamboo shot all day. Right. So that's just something that you don't think about from, or I didn't at least, from the fan perspective of like, sometimes the stuff that looks the most painful or the most shocking isn't as violent as just lucha wrestling or whatever, right? But I thought this was very, very well done. The only things that, and this is very nitpicky, and it's just a matter of taste. They didn't do anything wrong. I don't need everything in the weaponized steel cage to be girly gimmicked. Like, I think one of those is cute. Like, I don't need a pink wiffle ball bat. Right. Because they don't do that with men's, right? I guess
they don't.
I was going to make you unpretty, I guess, or whatever, but like...
I think that you could... Each of them are allowed to choose 5 weapons. And the 5 that Blake picks are all pink colored. And the 5 that
I like that
Jordynne Grace picks are like black or leather or
like
badass steel, badass stuff. And then you figure out which one is which, and maybe it's kind of fun where like one of them uses the other person's weapon. Like anyone's allowed to use the weapons, but you get to pick which ones are in there. That could be a cool thing. And then you would actually, I think we all know that all the pink ones are put there by Blake, but like there were like 3 out of 20 that weren't pink or girly in some way. Now, Ryan Adams has a point. As someone who just found out a few days ago that he's going to be a girl dad, mazel tov, by the way.
Congratulations.
Loved the pink-colored weapons for the cage match. Jordynne and Blake did fantastic. They did really good at like all the acting parts of this type of match. There was some good stuff here. There was an odd spot where I was like, how dare you do that to Jordynne Grace's extensions? That was so mean.
I was going to call it a 2.
where Blake pulled out a pair of scissors, and as soon as she did, I was like, Ricochet should sue because that is his gimmick, and I'm pretty sure she didn't clear it with him. But anyway, she starts cutting off Jordynne's extensions because we've seen her on NXT TV with much shorter hair than what she was wearing tonight. It's no secret that almost all the women who have this incredibly long hair in these matches are all wearing some kind of extensions or like.
Hey, bro.
We've seen them fall out during matches enough to know that's the case. So it was very odd when she was cutting it off and like Vic Joseph reacted as though, oh God, no. And it was she'll get a new set. I mean, it's expensive. But
she looked fine after too, which is like, I remember there was a hair match with Becky and I was like, she just looks like Hayley Williams and super cool now that you cut her hair. Like, I don't know if you remember that, but like, I was like, Becky looks awesome like this, which is fine. Like that's fine. I thought this was really good. This is where Blake Monroe, Mariah May, whoever shines is these ultra violent matches. Obviously one company takes that to a different version of ultra than this one. But that doesn't mean it doesn't satisfy the payoff, I guess, of feeling like they took it up a couple of notches to resolve the conflict that they have with each other, which is like sometimes gets lost. Like that's what I really liked about this match was it seemed like these two hated each other and beat the hell out of each other. And I feel like so often these kind of matches become about the weapons instead of hating each other. And these two just kept their eye on the prize the entire match. And I really like that. I like the match ending as well. I thought that was really well done. And I just really appreciated that it felt like they were working with animosity as much as they were the weapons that were around them. Like it never overpowered the story that they were telling. And that can be tricky in these hardcore matches. I see that happen all the time, I feel like, where it becomes too gimmicky and not about the payoff between the two performers. So credit to them for keeping that part front and center, because that doesn't always happen.
So they do a spot up at the top where I don't even know where that was hiding, but at some point they're both straddling the top of the cage in the corner. And all of a sudden Jordynne has a crowbar. Like she produced it out of her boot or something. Like it was just, where did that come from? Vic Joseph didn't see where it came from. It's like,
I thought it was had just a crowbar at the top of the cage.
Exactly. But it wasn't seen. Like it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of stuff that's like on the cage.
Sure, the bat and it,
but like where was that hiding that she knew where it was? But
she's got a cage scout.
Blake countered it with powder to the eyes. It was probably, you know what it was? Foundation powder, because girls see. But she somehow got out of whatever that was going to happen to her and hit an air raid crash through the table onto the diamonds and pinned her. And I did not have it going this way. Congratulations to Jordynne Grace.
Yeah.
But this is definitely continuing, right? Because Blake's winning the feud, right? Because we anticipate Blake is staying in NXT long term, and Jordynne might be the one to move up. I don't know what this does, because Jordynne seemed to think it was over because she was like, "It's done." She kept saying, "It's done." I'm like, "Is it? Okay, cool, I guess."
I mean, that almost makes
going back to being the number one challenger to Jacy Jayne again. I just
feel like
Blake was winning.
Anytime anyone's like, if a baby face is like, "Wow, it's done," I feel like that's the sign it isn't done. But I'm kind of okay with like, the alignment. Like the face got the better of the heel, and after the heel was a dick to her, like, okay, I can move on from that. It's what they move on to. There you go. Okay.
Casket. They are definitely doing a spin the wheel, make the deal, aka the coal miner's glove match. They're definitely doing the spin the wheel, make the deal match.
I am here for a bedazzled coffin.
I want it to be a buried alive match. I love those. It's the same thing, but I want there to be a big prop graveyard where people get put in and then dirt gets dumped on it. That's what I would like.
That's fun as hell. I'll do that.
Yeah, that's true. Jordynne's music does say it's not over until I win. So maybe what she won, so she said it's over.
It's over. As
she won.
It's over because I won is the new theme. I appreciate that they changed her theme to be something that's still stupid.
Yeah. It's nice, right? It's nice of them to think that way. So we got our North American title match, which I appreciated the story of. And I thought I thought both guys did well. I think Tavion came in and had all of the energy that he would have needed to fight this guy for 35 minutes and outlast him, because he's got a motor that won't quit. He's got a gas tank that never empties. But he got a little ahead of himself, and Ethan back body dropped him onto the metal ramp and he was fighting against lower back stuff the rest of the match. And Ethan, being the absolute shark that sees blood in the water, was just targeting the back over and over again. And because Tavion is such a great athlete, and he was able to withstand so much of that, because that happened like minute 2, and the match lasted a little over 10 minutes. It was the shortest one, but like Ethan thought, okay, I've injured his back, and I'm going to do 2 more things to his back, and he'll be done. But it just wasn't enough. And so finally it was, but it didn't even really. It was like I liked the way it was. Where he had him up in the corner, doing a sleeper hold to him, kind of like the Brody
this
King
was really,
sleeper
really
hold
cool.
to Darby. And Ethan found his footing, sat down, pulled him up over onto his shoulder, and did like a full like power slam off the second rope, and then Gator rolled over into the twisted grin, hit it on Tavion. And I love the Tavion touch of, it was 1, 2, 3. And if you just thought in your head, 4, 5, and he goes he didn't know where he is, but he still knew he had to kick out by the time he came to. And I loved it. Like it
was just too late.
Wait, no, hold on. I was wrestling somebody, wasn't I? Like, and then after he was like knocked out basically by the twisted grin, but then it did the thing where he was like trying to roll over onto his stomach from his back, and then another lash of pain hit his lower back, and he cried out and he grabbed onto the back. Like he was like selling the match specifics after the match was already over. Like, that is why I'm looking at Tavion Heights and I go, okay, so you know all the great stuff, that the performance of the match is within you. Like you went out there, you did all your moves right and everything, but you were really performing the bad back that you suffered in 2 minutes into the match through the whole thing. And also you were like, okay, I think I'm all right. But then, as anybody who's dealing with back pain can tell you, you're fine until you're not fine. And sometimes you're not fine because you turn in a way you would normally do. You'd be fine. All of a sudden you turn, and then there's just your nerves all the way down the left side of your body go crazy. And I thought he did a great job with that.
He is fantastic. I said, like, this was just a really great wrestling match. I wish that the feud had been sequenced better between these two. But like, from what I saw tonight, they got around to the thing that I wanted to see, which was a match like this. Like, I was just watching these two really great wrestlers approach it through their own lenses, and I really, really, really liked it. Like, I so appreciate when Ethan Page gets a hold of a story like this, because I felt this way with the Javon story too. Since they got him at a Disneyland heel, where he was like, ha ha ha, I lost a match to Ormenza via roll-up, but I didn't.
Someone keeps pinning me, not during matches. You should fire that guy. Like, that was the worst, man. That might be somewhere in the top 3 for worst creative for best wrestler that NXT has done since we have been doing shows together. Like, it's up there. How good, because you've seen what he can be when he's like unhinged dude who's trying to like destroy Javon Evans'
face,
or this guy when he's like the heel champ who's pro Canada or whatever, and he's doing all this stuff. You can see what he's capable of. Not even to say what he was doing before he came to NXT, but the first stuff they gave him after he became champ when he got here was like, this guy keeps pinning me, not during matches. I'm very upset about this. Like, he's so much better than that, and I'm so glad they figured it out. I mean, it took him too long, but I'm so glad they figured it out.
And he's good at the comedy stuff, so I get the temptation, but like, I think this is his wheelhouse. His matches like this is the feuds like Javon, and when he gets something that has some consistency and cohesion behind it, like, he really, really shines, like in match and outside of it, like not just the promos. Like tonight, I just feel like, boy, those stories become vivid, and who he is as a heel in those stories really, 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 really shines. And I felt like when that happens, his opponents come out better for it, and he's working with some younger guys right now. So like Javon coming out better for it, Tavion coming out better for it in a division that is kind of flapping in the wind, that they are starting to line up. Like, I think Miles Bourne being the next opponent is a really good call. Like, I like all these things that we're getting. I'm kind of like, big match Ethan is now a thing, and to me, like, because I'm seeing like I was so looking forward to the main event, and I feel like it really delivered. But like sometimes these matches sneak in there, and you're like, damn, dude, like that's some good stuff. So, and Tavion, I can't say enough of, because like there's something really special about guys who are this athletically gifted and are understated as well. Like in the way that he works, with his demeanor being so disarming and just relaxed and chill, but with an intensity behind it. It's like it's a very controlled energy that he has, and there's something really wrestler special about that. Like that's like a Bret Hart thing to me, almost, of like the I'm so in control of who I am as a wrestler in a wrestling ring. And Tavion Heights just has that to me, and it's kind of rare, because a lot of people are very trapped in like, okay, what would my character be doing right now? Like preoccupied by it, or trying too hard to make those elements come to life. Like this story allowed him just to be a good old fashioned American wrestler. And I think that really, really, really works for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for him too. Like if we get a heel Ricky, I would love to see Ricky Saints versus Tavion Heights. Like that could be super fun. Sure. So, I really, really liked this match, and I wish the sequencing around the whole arc had been better, but like from what we got tonight, I thought it was great. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah. Next match was the longest on the card.
Well, I'll tell you what, Alex. This is the longest we've gone without an ad read, and I need to get on that.
Well, okay, then you do that.
I will, because I've been greenlighted to do live reads, which is a huge mistake on Sean's part, but we're going to go with it. That's a terrible idea.
That's a terrible idea.
Does he not know us at all? But he trusts me with this one because, Alex, they're such a trustworthy partner, okay? Our friends at NordVPN.com. Yes. Use the code FIGHTFUL. You get a 2-year subscription with 4 months free. You can watch all of WWE's content on Netflix, which is great if you're sick of paying for ESPN Premium Plus, Diesel, whatever, or 87 different logins to watch the same company's content. So I just prefer not having the login fatigue and watching everything on Netflix. You can also travel outside the country and get those AEW papes a little bit cheaper. We appreciate the HBO Max discount. Even better than that is being an HBO Max customer in Lithuania. So head on over there. Those devices are available on all operating systems. You get 24/7 tech support. I'm watching my Steelers with NordVPN. That's all on the lowest tier that they got. They got password protection. We hear about them from more people than we do any other sponsor of like, nah, this is legitimately saving me so much money. And we love that. We love that for you guys. We love that for them. We selfishly love it for us because that helps our partnership. So NordVPN.com. It's like more, your Starbucks drinks cost more than that does per month. Just one grande or above is going to cost you more than the $3-4 or whatever it is the NordVPN shakes out to per month. But
good job.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be harder for you to. It's going to be harder for you to segue to yourself. I mean, I'm just letting you know you're the segue queen. You know, it's going to be.
It's you know what? I just want to grow as a podcaster, and I welcome new challenges, like how I'm going to give myself dick pill reads in the future.
Yeah, that's going to be great. Yes, this match, they did an interview with Lainey backstage about her being injured, and Lola walks up and says, "Hey, that sucks. I'm really sorry you got injured. You know what sucks is how you're still going to lose to Jacy Jayne tonight." And Lola's like, I whatever, because I'm totally going to win tonight. And then Jacy goes. And then either they're kayfabing an injury, or it's not as bad as it would seem, or they got a body double who does the exact same move as Lainey Reid, the exact way that Lainey Reid does it. Because 18 minutes into this 18-minute and 20-second match, Lola goes to the outside. They've already kicked out Fallon because she pulled the ref out of the ring after the back fist. Fallon got kicked out, and so now there's nobody to help Jayne. Then Lola goes out of the ring. She does another back fist, but her momentum carried her out of the ring, says Vic Joseph, but that was not the case. She stumbled, but it wasn't a moment. It doesn't matter. Here comes a person in a hoodie that's been like cinched, super closed. Like if you put on a hoodie and then you pull the drawstrings, and there's like this weird little That's what she with a black hoodie, black sweats, and she did the Lainey Reid knee. She was built exactly like Lainey Reid, and did the Lainey Reid knee, the same one that she did on Candice to win the semifinals, the same one she did to win her quarterfinal match, the same one she's been doing now for a while. It's the way she wins matches with that knee. It's a specific way that she does it. She throws her upper body backwards while she throws her knee forwards. It is the Lainey Reid knee. So they trained somebody how to do it to look exactly like Lainey Reid, or that was Lainey Reid. I'm not saying it was either of those things. I'm saying if it was the body double, they were perfectly cast. Because we've seen they put somebody in a hood who's not actually that person, and it's been very obvious that it's not actually that person. But they got a Lainey Reid body double, or they kayfabed this injury to keep Lainey Reid out of this match, or she couldn't have a full match, but she could do one knee on the ringside. I don't know what it was, but that is the reason Lola Vice lost, because Lainey hit her knee on Lola Vice's face, and Lola Vice came back into the ring at the count of 9.5. The referee was just being dumb and not looking when this happened, of course, because that's what happens. But she got back into the ring at the count of 9.5, and then took the rolling elbow from Jayne and lost. And their dad was so upset at ringside, and the sister was so upset at ringside. And so I don't know where this is all going, but it seems funny.
It was a pretty damn good match. Interference.
I thought it might be Lola's best stuff we've ever seen from her all around.
I agree. I feel like we're actually getting Jacy's character can be somewhat overpowering is a weird word, but it's the closest one I can grab for now. But she's putting on some performances that are really getting the best out of her opponent. She did it when in TNA. She's done it here. So I appreciate that about it. I thought Lola did really, really well. This was the most certain she seemed of herself, which is impressive to me because I don't think they've given her a lot to work with. Allie, please don't put our Fightful Select secrets here in the public, okay? Lola Vice is allegedly Latina. But that's it. We've had that, and we have her family, and we have her MMA background. We don't know a ton else. But she showed me something that they haven't articulated today, which I appreciate. I don't know if I can quantify it with words myself, but I saw something in her, some sort of fighting energy, some fighting spirit, if you will. Kind of like how we saw Kalani blossom from great athlete into a wrestler. I feel like we were getting the hints of that today from Lola in a really big way. I'll say this: if I was named Jayne, I would want my hench people to be Fallon should be Fally Foul. I think that's now a sticking point.
Fally Foul, and so Lainey Lane.
Yeah, and thank you. Yes, she would be Lainey Lane.
Lainey Lane and Jayne, but wouldn't that be Jace?
She kind of would.
Was Lainey Lane?
Yeah.
So it should be Lace. It should be Lainey Lace. Lainey Lace and Jayne.
Perfect.
I don't know what you do with Fallon. That's difficult.
She's just Fally Foul.
No, she's Fally Fan. She's Fally Fan and
Fally Face.
Valley face.
That
Valley
sounds
fame?
insulting somehow. I don't know how that works, but
Fanny face. No?
Horse Girl and Horse Girl 2 and Jacy.
There you go.
I saw some people who are going to be very disappointed because it was not Mandy Rose that threw that knee. Like, people were like, "Oh, it's because Mandy had the knee and she has the history with Jacy. And I was like,
"That ain't how that's not how Mandy Rose hit her knee, man. Her knee was straight up and down. Lainey does this really cool thing where she like throws her knee so far forward that the rest of her body has to go backwards as she does
back.
It.
It was also not Kenny Omega. So that's disappointing as well. But if it is a Lainey Reid lookalike, they did a really good job with it. I think it might be that she is actually injured, but she's not going to be like, it could just be, you can get a nasty looking foot just off of a sprain. Yeah. You know, they could have said she was training and she was walking and twisted her ankle over a curve. Yeah. Like that kind of stuff happens all the time. But you don't say, unfortunately, sustained an injury walking. Like that doesn't sound good. So you just make stuff up a lot of time.
No. You can easily step in a pothole in the parking lot because it's the NXT parking lot.
Well, NXT parking lot doesn't mean other people have to attack you. Sometimes the pavement does, right?
Sometimes the pavement does it, right? That's what happened to Hideo Itami. I heard it was actually the pavement that did it. They did a whole study about it. It's like where they come out later as a cold case and they find DNA. They found pavement DNA in Hideo Itami's knee.
That's what's up. Happens. It happens to the best of them, but definitely a very strong performance from Lola Vice. Jayne looked really good too. She never there's never a time I'm like that Jayne is not reliable. She's one of the most reliable they have. I don't know if I've ever seen a match that completely blows me away, but I always see good to great matches with her and never anything that
she's bordering on like absolute never bad. Not even ever good. She's an always great worker.
Yes.
But when you were saying something about her character is overwhelming, it just feels like to me the way that we would describe it in acting parlance, she's pushing too hard. She's pushing too hard when she's playing the character. Just relax into it and let it be. It feels like to me, and it's very possible this is the case, that Jayne is actually a really sweet girl, a really sweet, a really kind lady. And so being this mean doesn't come natural to her. So she's pushing at it, trying to be the meanest she can possibly be. I feel like she's a lot better now than she used to be. But honestly, there's another 10% she could just let it be, and you don't need to do as much. She does so much, which you don't need to do as this character. You can just be mean. And
it's also hard to.
There's a point that she will get there, and everything's going to click when that happens. Everything.
We've also seen her go from like Thea Hale's bad girl, big sister figure to this. So there's transitions within that. Right. So that's a jump that she has to make. But you know what, Alex? You said you think she's a delightful gal, quite possibly. I would bet the same. I don't think I could do it at my bookie AG, but if I was gonna place money on such things, I would go to my bookie AG. And darn it, if there's a breadth of things that I could bet on, that might include something like that. I don't think it's gonna be this, but my bookie AG would have them spend $100. Boom, use the code FIGHTFUL, get an extra $50. Spend $200, use the code FIGHTFUL. Boom, that's double two. You get $100 free dollars. I'll tell you what, we had the No Mercy odds. They're not currently up because the event's over. But this was actually really interesting because the lines on all of these were pretty close. And we don't get a ton of that. Two of them were in a dead heat, the Speed Championship and the North American title, maybe. Two of them were both minus 120s. And it's interesting because even as I was doing the read yesterday, I was like, I can't give overwhelming guidance. Like, good job, NXT, on making some of these work. But they've got all sorts of stuff you can bet on over there. Traditional sports, wrestling. They have esports stuff. They have just entertainment stuff. Like if there's award shows or things in the pop culture zeitgeist, you can go over there and bet online. Not bet online, but you can bet online at MyBookieAG. They have a plethora of WWE odds. I know Sean's trying to work on getting some of those AEW odds up to date too, but please only bet what you can and bet responsibly when you do. MyBookieAG.
Good. Nice job.
Thank you so much.
So I'm going to leave you with the Collision thing because while I had to sit here and watch Oba Femi lose his title, my wife took my daughter to Six Flags so she could ride roller coasters, and they stayed up late, and then they're going to be here in like 5 minutes. So because I'm doing this in the dining room, the main room of this Airbnb, I'm pretty sure my wife's going to walk through the door in 5 minutes with a sleeping child on her shoulder. So I'm going to turn all of this off and get ready to help her get down to bed. But you tell all these people about wonderful things that have happened, RE Women's Blood and Guts, because everyone seems to be wanting to talk about that. But I will see everybody on Monday, Fightful Select for the Raw review, and then here for Tuesday to talk about who's representing NXT and TNA in the big invasion angle. Wow.
I don't know why these are invasion fingers, but
I don't know why they are either.
They are, though.
Yeah.
Indisputably.
They're indisputably that. All right.
I hope your daughter had fun riding roller coasters, and happy belated from us at the SGS. We love you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. All right, I'm gonna go bye.
Oh, okay. Thanks for hanging out, Dusty. He was backstage the whole time. You guys just didn't see it. He was being shot.
I'm never gone, really. I'm here most of the time, but
it's true.
But now I am actually going to leave now. Bye.
Okay. It was very nice to have his spirit just hanging around. We're not doing like a full AEW review because I was obviously split attention, but there are some things that I just wanted to discuss. This is the big one. Women's Blood and Guts. Jamie Hayter calling for it at the end of the episode. I'm so excited to see this. A lot of people are excited to see this. Crazy 101's excited to see this. Women's tag titles, check. Women's Blood and Guts, check. Women's C2 next. I would love to see them. You know, they have this ROH Pure tournament going on. I would love to see that be like a test case for what they could do with a women's C2. I would do them off kilter, the men, so it doesn't overwhelm the program, meaning I would do a women's C2 style tournament in like March so that you aren't suffocating. I don't want to say suffocating because it absolutely rules. So I don't mean that in a negative way, but that there's not like a chokehold, so to speak, on that. Van Twinblade saying women's blood and guts. Let's go. Also, Kenny versus Alexander for Wrestle Dream, maybe. So that does lead us to another exciting point that Kenny Omega is going to be back in action. It looks like he got called out on Collision, and we love to see a returning Kenny Omega. Seems like he's somewhere between a part-timer and a full-timer right now, probably just to protect his health. He did have planned time off, as reported by Fightful Select a couple weeks ago. Some of the aggregations there were, I don't even fully want to say misrepresentative of us, but maybe a little less clear than they could be. But Kenny's time off was planned with doctors. He was doing other work outside of the wrestling space in Japan as well. So it's not like he's unhealthy. I think they're just being more protective with his health. That is not something that we've specifically reported, but this was all planned stuff. It wasn't like he got injured at the same time as Swerve and Ospreay were headed out or anything like that. Tenruza saying all elite women blood and guts / tag titles. Let's freaking go. Yeah, I am absolutely thrilled about that. Tom LaValle pointing out some other things that happened. Dalton is back. Komander was great. Blood and guts. This is so good to see Komander back. Him and Kyle Fletcher just have ridiculous chemistry. Some disappointing news is that Hologram looks like he's out with a long-term injury. So he is not going to be who Kyle Fletcher faces on Wednesday. That's, I don't know if it's announced, but I think the word was it's going to be Orange Cassidy, which I think is where the story was going anyway. what's kind of a bummer there is that we had this like El Clan, right? And that story was like right on the cusp of him probably debuting, and now they're gonna have to figure out a way to shift his presence on screen. T is a saver saying, I never catch live shows. I have a few things to ask about that probably aren't even relevant anymore. Well, you can go ahead and ask if you want to. We do take super chats and humper chats at humperchats.com, but some really exciting developments in the women's division. I am in agreement with Sean Ross Sapp, who has been saying like the women's tag titles are something that should be defended in wrestling around wrestling. Make them world tag titles. If and when New Japan Strong has shows, they should be defended there. Send them to CMLL. Make them ambassadorial by nature. I would love that. Have them show up in Rev Pro, right? Like, let's capitalize on these things. I would love to see it. I would love to see them serve the greater women's wrestling picture as a whole. I think that's something that the indies should be doing more of, is women's tag wrestling. I think that would be so much fun. So hopefully they go in that direction, at least between ROH and AEW to start. I think would be a fun and fair thing to do. Let me know who you guys want to see win those inaugural tag titles, because I'm so intrigued by that. I would love that. I would love that. We have some humper chats that got sent in by T is a Saver. Thank you so much. Who said, hi, Alex and Kate. I usually catch replays, so tonight I have a few random things to ask that might not even be relevant anymore. Okay, hear me out. I don't watch WWE, but I watch Fightful reviews. SRS said Cope did the homage to Cena because Cena paid homage to Cope earlier. I don't know when. Could that be why Cena lost to Lesnar? I would not go that far. I think this is all speculation on my part. This is not a report from Fightful. My guess is they said, this is our big WrestlePalooza show, and Brock Lesnar looks like the kind of guy that people maybe tuning in on ESPN would want to watch kick John Cena's ass, quite frankly. Like, the presentation of Brock Lesnar resonating with an ESPN crowd, I think is something that would make a ton of sense. But that creative was locked in. There's been a million different reasons as to why that's been speculated on. But another question saying, okay, hear me out. Do you remember when we wondered why WWE put the belt back on Zelina Vega? What if it was part of Aleister Black's contract to come back? What do you think? I don't think that would ever be in writing contractually. But I do think that it wasn't an accident that those things lined up. I doubt that. Even if they just liked the play for on screen as a couple, not that they like cross paths or interacted, but like fans know, so they might have wanted them to have this OMG power couple moments. That US title was just handled super poorly. I think Zelina was also transitioned to as a face because they wanted to go from Zelina to Julia. And I think they thought at the time that that would be a better call than going from Chelsea to Julia. I don't think that has paid off very much. But get in your super chats. Get in your humper chats. We're going to roll down the home stretch here. It is nice to see Dalton Castle, who gets a win in his return match here, which is great stuff. He is someone that has been ready for TV wrestling beyond ROH for a long time. So I'm very glad to see him being used on Collision. ROH and Collision get taped on the same day, so it's not like he couldn't show up on both. But I do think he's someone that, as a character, like a TV wrestling crowd proper would resonate with a lot. So I'm glad to see him being used there. I also have really liked the work that the Outrunners have been doing more recently, because it has some more layers to it than, hey, we wrestle like we're from the 90s, kind of. Like, I like that. I like that we've gotten to see them stretch their legs a little more as far as what they're able to do in the ring. It keeps them from becoming like just a meme team. Another development, we had Ace Austin joining the Bang Bang Gang, which makes a lot of sense. He was in a Bullet Club extension when he was on TNA Impact. So nice that they kind of have crossed paths again, especially while Jay White is out. I think that's a great way to make them feel important. I think that's a great trio to establish. We're starting to see the multi-man divisions come back to life with this renewed energy with the tag division. I think Brodito has been a home run since they decided to make that call and put the tag titles on them. I think you're starting to see trios come together like Ricochet and Gates of Agony, the Demand, as they're called now. Ace Austin joining the Bang Bang Gang when Juice has said he's wanted to take on a more serious persona. Like, I like this idea. Like, I like these guys starting to feel like threats a little bit more than they have, which I think is awesome. Do I think they do blood and guts against NXT? I actually don't think that they do that. But they might, because you can't really do it at Full Gear and keep the floor, the blueprint for the seating that they've had. So they might do that. I feel like that's going to be a Title Tuesday thing, though, and Blood and Guts is not a title situation. So probably still not then. We'll see when they do it. I was hoping Full Gear selfishly because I'll probably be going to Full Gear. So I would love to see it. Newark was also supposed to be the location where the first Blood and Guts ever happened, but that got derailed, I think, by COVID. So it would be kind of cool if they did the first women's one in Newark. I think Newark would be a very good crowd for it, as Jersey is a rowdy group and loves women's wrestling. So would not hate that at all. But I think Title Tuesday is what's going up against that NXT Invasion show, assuming that's what you were talking about. But people are saying Bane and Bozilla for the first ever tag champs. Oh man, I love Megan Bane and Penelope Ford, but that would be fun as hell. Bozilla and Nyla Rose could also be a really, really, really fun duo. I would like them to turn Nyla Rose face and put her back on television more than she's been. She's been around. She had some ROH matches, but like, she's so damn likable. If you follow her on social media, if you've met her in real life, her whole energy just screams like face to me. Like, people, she's just a very likable woman, to be honest. Matthew Hook's asking for an AEW Stardom collab, please. I don't know a lot about the Joshi beat, but whenever anybody from Joshi Wrestling shows up on AEW, they're usually pretty kick-ass. So I'm not against it. I'm just not educated enough to pull names out of my hat for that. What I do hope is this isn't like a 6-team, 4-team, 8-team tournament. I would love to see it go 16 teams deep. I could understand it going 12 deep. British Nyla is amazing. She's so funny, man. Like, she's so great. Nyla is wonderful. She's a delight. Yeah, people agreeing with me on that they would like to see a face Nyla Rose start to pop up. But a solid Collision. They've started to bring that show back to life a little bit more, which I appreciate. I really think, I hate to say it because I loved me Rampage. That like hour was usually just a bunch of fun matches. But I like I feel like ever since they killed Rampage, things have gotten a lot more streamlined and the shows have been better. Like, both Collision and Dynamite have gotten a lot better. So I don't know if it was that extra hour that was doing it, but the timing lining up there is certainly something that correlates. But it makes me happy because I'm at heart a collider. So I'm here for it. She likes pineapple on pizza. That's heel behavior. It is. I can't deny that. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Thanks for watching NXT. It was a good show tonight. As much as the weekly TV has kind of been in a down spell, the PLE tonight, I feel like, did a really, really strong job. Really, really strong job. Ricky Saints being a champion. I know Alex is going to be in his feelings about Oba Femi for a while, but I think that's a strong product call if Oba Femi is moving on. And Blake and Jordynne having a violent match was good. Javon's a mega star. It was good. It was good stuff. They're debating pineapple and pizza in the chat. I like it. I like it. But guys, we're going to get out of here unless you guys have any more chats or even just regular chats if there's anything specific you want to talk about. I will plug our social media a little bit. We're doing some work there. I'm going to try and do more just generalized recap stuff on our TikTok account. Hearing that Roddy Strong showed out and was fantastic. He's amazing, man. Roddy Strong is like just one of the most reliable people in all of wrestling to turn in just like excellent pro wrestling with whoever he's in the ring with. And also, End of Heartache's banger. Kill Switch is great. So I'm a Kill Switch engaged gal. I'm a metal gal in general. But yeah, so we've got a lot going on our social media. Facebook, Instagram, we're bringing some more stuff to Meta. We've been cranking out reels like crazy with some fun post-show bites, some interview bits and bites that we've had from the past. We've got some renewed content that we're doing over there as well. So stay tuned on social media channels for sure. We appreciate it. Hook grabs the mic from Eddie. What? I have to go back and see that because I did not see that. But that's going to wrap it up here at Fightful today. Monday, Sean is out. He is going to Denver for the Broncos game, which I'm very excited. That man deserves a night off. But Grand Pooh Bear and Joel Pearl are going to be hosting on Monday. So get a fresh perspective there, which will be nice for your Monday Night Raw show. Then we're back into our regular rotation on these parts. Alex and I will be behind the paywall as usual on Monday as well. So check us out there. Subscribe to Fightful Select. Let me just give you a little taste of all the stinking scoops that we have had this week, because it's been a lot. Your money really does go to like the 40 people that Sean pays invoices to, self included, as well as the podcasting support does for us. It is our bread and butter, Fightful Select. You'll get accurate information first. There's so much weird aggregation stuff going on anymore. It's in my opinion, and I understand I am biased, worth the $5.99 to subscribe. We do have a free tier though, if we understand that inflation is a bitch. That's what people have had to cancel have been telling us. And I've been feeling it too. So there is a free tier. You get access to the headlines and kind of like the first sentence or two of what our paid tier is, as well as our free posts. We did have a clarifying story on Warner Brothers Discovery and AEW. There was been some very irresponsible aggregations on an 11-month-old story over there. We had select answers on Piper Niven, Tom Green of all people, and some storylines under the Japanese umbrella that have been going on, as well as Sean's regular Q&A. Talk about WrestleMania in Indianapolis. We've had our weekly debunkathon, which had a ton of stuff in it, including The Rock not being at Survivor Series. That was, I think, our first AI bunk, at least that we're aware of. So that is something else, as well as the plans for Brock Lesnar and Cena being locked in the week before. Basically, once they said that wasn't going to be the main event anymore, sure seemed like that's when they switched those plans. But plenty more on Fightful Select. A Masha update on the free tier as well. Matt Cardona working without a TNA contract. So much stuff. Jasmine Nix. All this week. Been a busy week on Fightful. So head over to FightfulSelect.com. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Subscribe to this YouTube channel as well if you have not. We appreciate the support there. Over 207,000 of you subscribed. We appreciate it. For me and Alex Pulaski, who I'm not, despite what this border says, signing off here. Have a safe and wonderful rest of your wrestling weekend. We're out of here.